Hi, this is Lee, and this is me painting the Cthulhu miniature from board game Cthulhu May Die by Simon Games. I've been put this on hold, on queue for like a long time. I painted the miniature version, the huge statue version, like 3 years ago, but I never painted the small one. And the season 3, Fear of the Unknown, is about to hit Kickstarter probably by the time I post this video already. So I thought I better, took the mini from the base game out and then paint it up. So this video is the whole process of me painting the small Cthulhu. Not necessarily full process, but pretty much the whole process. I did skip some random, boring, repeated process like painting on the coat because I don't have airbrush and it's all hand painted, so it's kind of boring just to put the brush with same color on the whole body. The undercoat process is a bit boring, so just kind of skip that. It took me about 3 hours ish, give or take. I was kind of watching video and then paint this, so kind of slow, to be honest. The whole structure of this miniature sculpture between the small one and the big one is kind of different. So the small one has more tentacles, and then the head structure is also kind of different. Has less details of all those holes on the back, and I still just trying to match the color scheme I use for the miniature. The official paint job was done by Robert Carson. It was amazing, but I feel like I don't want much colors on this. I want a green Cthulhu. That's pretty much it. So all the paints I used are from Citadel paints. It was what's the green called? One sec. The green is Flesh, and then the blue was Markridge blue. The red was Morphistone red. The yellow was Everland Sunset. The light blue, the cyan color I use is the layer paints, is Temple God blue. That's only non-base paints among all those paints. So first of all, a whole layer of green, and then this is essentially the boring part. So start with the left arm. Once you prime your figure and then you put underneath the light, you'll see the highlights of the figure. Pretty much. And then there are just certain areas you can easily tell that's where the highlight's supposed to be. And then essentially just trying to follow that, unless you want the miniatures under a specific lighting setup you imagined. But normally it will be just wherever the structure bumps out, that's a highlight. I think it took me about 10 whole minutes, 10 full-time minutes to cover the whole body in wild green, because it's not like smooth surface. It has all those bumps and then also small holes bumps out, and then it just less convenient to paint them all up and then using brush. I don't know how long I record this base coat process, but I don't think I recorded like full process of it. I did actually fix a miniature before I painted all those, so there was a quite obvious gap around the stomach and then half of the Cthulhu's ass. I did use green stuff to cover that, and then there was a quite obvious mood line in the middle of the left arm, right in front, so I used green stuff to cover that up as well. Other than that, the miniature quality is pretty good. You don't have to fix much on except the gap I mentioned and the mood line. One thing to mention, because the whole structure, the tentacles are all at the front, so you can't really painted the area behind the tentacles. You can't even prime it unless you took the head apart and then prime it. But it's covered by all those tentacles, so it doesn't really matter. But you do have to paint like small areas, just underneath it, just at the edge of this covered area. So it's kind of annoying, and also the way the hand posed, it makes it difficult to paint the side of the body. You just have to get around with it, and then it just kind of annoying, and then that's kind of slow down the process. Not to mention all those small holes at the side of the left side of the body. So you have to be careful, and then be patient to paint all those details without get the colors on the arms. But this is again just base coat process. It doesn't really matter. You just slash all your paints on it. Thin coats, thin paints. That's also the part of the idea, but not too thin though. You are trying to cover the whole body with grain though. Right, I think I'm just gonna skip all those process right here, and then we'll see you here. And then this is the whole body pretty much painted up. There are some areas you can see darker, that just less coated, because those are the areas, let's see, not necessarily be the highlight area, and then there is a light up area, and then the shadow area. So you would want to paint the highlight area more green, and then the shadow area less green in this case. For the highlights, I choose to add the yellow, so make the green yellowish, and then that's essentially the process I did in the Megacha paint job. I did use the contrast paint in the Megacha version, but this time it's just base paints. So starting from the left arm, so you can tell the highlights is on the arm already. You just have to follow that. This is quite a big brush, because considering size of this miniature. And then when you paint it, just put the brush aside and then slightly paint over the highlighted area, which is shown by the natural lighting already. Then adding a little bit more green to blend this color, because it's not like a cell shading style. You have to blend the colors like back to normal, so there is a slight transfer between this highlight color and the actual skin color of the Cthulhu. Just adding more green, and then because the whole base coat was the wild green, and then for highlights you add a yellow, and then you're eventually going back to the wild green, where the shadow area you just add a bit abandoned black to make it darker. But essentially you're just trying to blend the colors well, and then make it smooth transfer. Also, because the way the arm is structured is similar to human body, so it has another muscle underneath it. That's also where the light can hit up, creating a shadow area in between those two muscles. But that's just the way the anatomy works. If your brush contains too much water, you can also put it on the tissue to absorb the actual water and make the paints less fluid. Then the same process on the left leg, and then this highlighting area, just the upper bit of the leg, and then also the knee, and then the front bit of the lower part of the leg, and then also the muscles on the side of it. Then up to this area, again same process, it's just highlighting the middle bit, and then wherever it bumps up, because it's essentially a rounded area, and then the middle bit of this rounded area is the highlighting area. Again, similar process of this main body part, the chest, and then the sided area. Also this shoulder plate-ish structure. I don't really know what this is. It looks like a muscle, but then it doesn't look like a very strong muscle. It looks like a loose muscle on the shoulder, and also the skins are just loose on top of it. It's kind of weird structure, but yeah, it's all same idea. You just highlight the area where the lights show up under this natural lighting, of course. I don't know how long this whole process take, but I'll stop talking and then let you watch all those less boring process. This is better than the base code, but Right, onto the tentacles. The tentacles, again, following the color scheme of the megature, so it's gonna be purplish tentacle, purple pinkish maybe, and then I was trying to do a black gradient at the bottom of the tentacles for the megature, but then I didn't really get a chance to do that. I'll do here. So essentially, the idea is the new grown tentacles are whiter, are pinker, and then the when it goes to the end, it'll kind of just decay and then just turn into black. That's my logic of the color scheme. So paint all the tentacles into this purplish color. So the purplish color is just the red and blue, mix them together. There's no like specific color for this. You just adjust the level of red you want or the level of the blue you want, you know, by increasing the paints you put in. So paint them all up, and it took me a while to paint them all up because there's too many tentacles, and then it's also kind of in a way, and then it's right on the chest, in front of the chest, and then also in front of the upper left leg, so it's kind of annoying. And then also get the colors on the left arm as well, so I'm gonna fix that. It's just annoying, and then I don't have to. I didn't have mask those ring area, which I probably should, but then I feel it's like not necessarily because the amount of paint, the purple I use, is just right there in the middle. If it's like spreading away, it wouldn't matter either. So unless you're using airbrush, which you need to mask, if you're using like brush just to hand paint, I'd assume masking is less necessary. Right, I think I'm changing to a smaller brush here. What am I doing here? Right, I'm trying to doing another layer of highlighting. Yeah, on the eyes bit. So highlight the eye socket, the eyebrows actually. So this Cthulhu has 4 sets of eyes, so 4 on each side, and then the structure is. The quality of the miniature is great. It's great, and then it has all the details bumped out. The difference between this area and the megature version is the actual eyeball is smaller on those. Not because of scale. It just it sculpted smaller, like much smaller than the megature version. So you can't really see the red eyes once you finish this because the eyebrow is very. The eye socket is pretty deep, and then the eyeball is really small, so you see shadows only, unless you're using some specific paints that really has those high saturation that let you see on that side, but otherwise you won't be able to see much of the eyes detail. So they're just adding white on top of the yellowish blue to make the another layer of highlights to bump up all those highlights in area. I think I'm almost using brushes as dry brush. This is a half broken brush I have. Right, I think I'm gonna continue highlighting all those areas for a while. So I'm just gonna stop talking again. and here. This is where I'm trying to highlight the tentacles. Like I said before, the newborn tentacles area are whiter, pinker, and then the end bit of tentacles are kind of decayed. They are more dark. There are more like black color-ish. So when painting those, just put the brush sideways and then follow the texture on the miniature and then just paint it up. And then again, similar to the arm, you blend it with the actual color of the tentacles, so purple. I think I only added white and a little bit red to make a pink color-ish on those highlighting area. Right, I'm going to paint all those holes right now. Let's see. So yeah, same color scheme. All those holes are just red. I was trying to paint them blue. I tried that in the miniature version for a short while, and then it turns out a bit too weird. And then change it back to red, purplish red again. So I think the red is a better color for those details. Alright, I think all the red bits are more or less done. I'm trying to get Cthulhu's nail down. Nail is using a what's this color? Zandri dust. So it's essentially a yellow brownish color. This is just the base coat of the nails, and then you're gonna adding highlights, shadows onto those bits separately as well. The way the hand posed is just less friendly because you have to get into it, and then it's just not very easy to do that. For the highlights of those, or just adding white, there's not much point changing the color on the highlights of those nails. They are less important. You don't want too much colors on those. You just need a standard light shadows contrast. Right, for miniature like this, and then with a lot of textures on the surface, you would want to use dry brush to do some certain highlights. So this is just a regular dry brush from Artist Opes, and then yellowish green plus a lot of white, and then you just slowly, slightly, gently dry brush on those area, and then bumps out the highlights again. So it was how many highlights there? So it was first layer that's just yellowish green, and then second layer plus a little bit white, and then the third layer plus a lot white to bumps out those texture of the skin tone. Because it's dry brush, you don't want your brush contains much paints, and I'm not using a specific dry brush paint, so you kind of need to get rid of the actual water by drain on either tissue or on your skin to make it, actual dry brush. See, like that, that's just too much water there. And then I think, I just put it on the tissue to absorb the actual water and then paint it. This is another kind of boring process. Just don't put your brush against the miniature. Just leave your brush, end of your brush, like on top of the miniature, and then slightly brush it. Slightly and slowly, or not necessarily slowly, most importantly, just slightly brush it, because you don't want the whole brush right into your miniature. That'll just ruin the details. I'm changing to a smaller brush to fix some details and then highlight some small area, some muscle structure, fixing some loose ends here, because you can't paint all the details by one big dry brush. It has to be some areas that can't be covered, and then it has to be enhanced by a smaller brush, like those shadow areas, some specific area that your dry brush wouldn't be able to reach, and then enhance the shadows. I think I said that, yeah. But again, change to smaller brush to fix some loose ends. And here I'm about to paint up the eyes. So let's see how smaller are those eyes. They are really, really small. So it was red plus a little bit yellow to make a orange base color of those. Then you just paint it, because the details are great. The details are great. It's just the eyes too small, and then you just have to be patient and then point it on those small sphere. Yep, 1 down, 2 down, and third one, and then the one on the top. The one on top contains less detail. You just have to figure out where the actual eyeball is, because it's less detail. I think it was some problem with the mode. So speed up a little bit. I painted one side of the wing because I wasn't sure what kind of color I'm gonna use. But after some tests, I believe this kind of flesh color is what I wanted, and then I also has some kind of purplish color to, again, the very bright color to change the whole color palette of this Cthulhu miniature, because you can't always have one color and then it just makes the whole thing boring. You have to have something different visually, so this is the something visually different. The color is just human skin color. I mixed using white plus a little bit brown to achieve this color. Again, it's just boring process of base coat. And once it's dry, adding a little bit red to with a lot of water. Essentially, I'm using those paints as kind of shade. So adding a lot of water makes the paints like it flows. So I'll stay in the essentially shadow area, and then makes a great natural darker color of this skin tone color. And then I believe I also add another layer of purplish color, again with a lot of water on the brush, so that this flows into those shadow area and makes a natural purplish shadow for those skin tones. Right, so this is what I have at the end, and then I did use the varnish, and then I did use the art coat, which is essentially a very glossy varnish, hand painted varnish by Citadel. So it's a kind of a protective layer paint. Apply those on the tentacles, on every single, those red holes on the back and on the arm. I also added a little bit ambient blue color by using dry brush, just brush on the side and then also the inner bit of the arm. I think I could varnish the whole thing in a glossy finish, but I feel like that would just decrease the visual impact of all those red holes. So I choose a standard non-glossy varnish, a medium varnish, and then apply the art coat, which is essentially a glossy paint on those red holes to show off those details. I think that's a better way to achieve a glossy part. Again, the glossy varnish was not used on the whole body, but mainly the tentacles, all those red holes. So that's pretty much it. And I hope you enjoyed it, and hope this video helped you a little bit, maybe, I don't know. But this is my process of painting this Cthulhu miniature from Cthulhu May Die. I'll see you next time.